I recently came up with a new tagline that I like that really like describes what I do pretty well. It's nurturing the human animal bond through life, death, and beyond.
Today's guest is Olivia LaBarre. Olivia LaBarre is an animal communicator, helping animals and their people reach new levels of connection, understanding, and healing in all seasons of life, death, and beyond. She's also a Reiki practitioner.
I do often experience their energy in like a little bit of a different way. Often animals who are already passed feel very like free and expansive in a way that living animals don't, because living animals are in a body. Even if you're talking to them and communicating with them on like a spiritual level and they're living, you still have the kind of that like constraint.
Pet loss bereavement specialist, artist, writer, and person to dogs Milo and Lucy. Ultimately, she believes our animal companions are so much more than pets, and when we open ourselves to meaningful communication with them, our relationships transform in soul-deep ways.
Today, the way to help them with grief is really to let them go through it. I do think communicating about what happened is really helpful. The cat kept sending me all of these different types of circus tents. And I was like afraid to say it because I was like, what? I don't understand why circus tents. So I just told her. And she was showing like all these different types. And the person was like, I have a circus tent tattoo.
And now for my conversation with Olivia LaBarre. Hey everyone! I'm really excited to let you know about the science and spirituality salons I'm now hosting. During these intimate events, a scientifically verified psychic medium will give all of you readings, and I will give a talk on the science and evidence that changed my mind about an afterlife. This will also be an amazing opportunity to get to meet some of you in person or virtually, and to share more about all the science and data that transformed my worldview and got me through my worst days. These can be hosted in your home, in a nearby cafe with a private room, or they can even be virtual. I've hosted a few already, and they were really special, fascinating, emotional, evidential. So if you're interested in getting a small group together over dinner, brunch, drinks, coffee, to learn more about the science and to get evidential medium readings, send me an email at hello@wtfjusthappened.net and put science and spirituality. And today I'm talking to Olivia LaBarre, animal communicator. Welcome, Olivia.
Hi, nice to be here.
Nice to have you. Thanks for coming on. Tell us first, just introduce yourself a little and tell us about what you do and who you are.
Cool. Yeah. So I recently came up with a new tagline that I like that really like describes what I do pretty well. It's nurturing the human animal bond through life, death, and beyond. And you know, that's really what I do. And I do that through animal communication, Reiki, grief support around the loss of animals, and also education classes, things like that. And I right now, I mostly work virtually. I do many like one-on-one sessions over phone or Zoom. And then I'm starting to do a little bit more like in-person stuff. And I'm starting to offer like classes and education again as well.
Perfect. And so part of what you do, if I'm right, is you communicate both psychically with living animals that are here, and you communicate with animals who've passed away as well. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. It's about 50-50, I would say, what I do with living animals and animals in spirit.
So when did you first notice you had psychic abilities or mediumship abilities at all? And was it tied into animals? What was your very first, what I always call the what the fuck, that was so weird experiences?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because I think when I'm thinking about this, at the time, I didn't know what I was experiencing was like psychic or mediumship or anything. But what I have to say is like, yeah, ever since I was a little kid, I I saw things like what I would call almost like webs of energy, especially at night, which kind of scared me. It wasn't like scary, but just scary because I didn't know what it was. And I might call my parents in and they'd be like, "What? We don't see anything. You're okay. You're anxious." I also used to have a lot, and I still do have a lot of dreams that are lucid dreams and dreams that come true, and kind of like visitation dreams where like spirits or people might show up and give me messages. And then, yeah, all of that though was like really just kind of like written off. I don't know. It was just like, you're really sensitive. You're really anxious, like all this stuff. And then with the animals, I always had a connection with animals. I remember being really little and like I would play with snakes, and like that I found like in the woods in upstate New York, and like somehow know that like they were not poisonous or which ones are friendly. I feel like I always had a good connection with my animal companions growing up. Like we communicated, but I guess I would never have called it animal communication. It was just something that felt really normal to me. It wasn't, it wasn't until I was older that I really understood all of this that was happening. And in college, for whatever reason, I had quite a few experiences where I really experienced the spirit world in different ways that also I thought it was like, honestly, am I really depressed, really anxious? Is this mental illness? I didn't know what was happening. And I didn't really have any support of anyone who could like help me understand it. So it wasn't until I became, until I was like really in my 30s, I'm in my 40s now, that I started understanding even what psychic abilities were, mediumship, and animal communication. So I have had some just little weird things that happen in dreams. Like, okay, like weird things like I see someone eat like a bunch of chicken nuggets really fast. And I'm like, I had a dream that happened. Like, so I don't know. Sometimes I don't think it's always to help. I truly don't always know yeah. I have had some animals come to me in dreams. One animal came to me to let me know that like it was actually a client's cat, and we had a session scheduled for like I think a few days later, and then the cat came to me in the dream, and it was yeah, pretty intense, and they were like, we need to move it earlier. And then I did get a message from the person saying like, I wonder if we need to move this earlier. And I'm like, well, I think we do, because your cat reached out. And it turns out the cat really did need some medical attention. And actually, I believe she was like toward the end of her life, so was kind of asking for help with that. So yeah, all sorts of stuff. I can't really say what what the purpose is always. Yeah.
You also mentioned that in your 30s, like you just thought everything was kind of normal. Then you hit your 30s and you were like, wait, these are some what I call what the fuck abilities, psychic abilities. Mm-hmm. What was the shift?
Yeah, well, it didn't really quite even happen like that. It was more that I was in this totally different career. I was really unhappy, and just kind of I been going to like talk therapy for like forever, and I was like, I need something else. Let me try something else. So I found out about Reiki, energy healing, and I had some Reiki sessions myself. And after I started having those sessions, these kind of like abilities, like my intuition just did seem stronger. And I felt even more connected, like with the spirit of a friend who had died, a couple of years prior. And then I had a really good friend of mine who I worked with and I really, really admired. We were just kind of like talking one day. We went out for drinks. We hadn't seen each other in a while. And she was like, what has gotten you into Reiki? And she's like, I feel like I should tell you this. And she came out as a medium to me. And she told me she's the most like logical person I know, science minded. She was like, it was either like I was crazy or I am a medium. And I came to the conclusion that I am a medium. I don't do any of it professionally, but it just made me be like, yeah, this is what's going on for me too. And then I took Reiki training on my own, which also like kind of opened up my abilities more. And then I took psychic development training. And as I learned, I was like, this is all natural. This is stuff I've been doing forever. That now I have a name for it. And really, that's how it worked for me. Yeah.
Got it. When did you, well, actually, let me back up a little. You said you'd read both living animals and deceased animals, which is like, as listeners have heard for a while, psychic is reading like the minds of the living, and mediumship is connecting with those who have passed. Mm-hmm. What is the difference for you when you're doing those different readings?
Yeah, between living animals and animals in spirit. Yeah. And then like there is a difference between the human and the animals as well. The animal stuff came a little later to me, and I was like, oh my God, this is yeah.
Okay. So you first were doing it with humans. Okay. So then we'll get to that. Okay. Tell me first then what it was like with humans.
Okay. Yeah. So first with the human thing, I took a psychic development class, and it was more like just rather than mediumship, focusing on psychic abilities, doing kind of like readings and things like that with living people and with objects, like people's objects, stuff like that. And I was with my teacher in the park one day, and we were talking about my dog, and he was pooping on the floor, and I knew he knew not to. And I was like, why is he pooping on the floor? She's like, why don't you just ask him and just use your abilities that you learned in your psychic development class? And I was like, what? That's a thing? And I like went home and Googled animal communication, and I was like, and I just tried it. And I was like, well, this is even easier for me than like the human stuff. But then I couldn't find like a mentor that I meshed with.
Wait, but I have to first ask you before you go on. You asked him, did he like tell you in how you imagine your dog voice? Like all of us give our animals how we imagine their little voices would be.
Yes, his voice. Yeah, the way it worked, it wasn't that I was like seeing words at first. The information comes through so subtly, and it's not like a Disney movie where you're just like, they're talking in this voice, Once in a while it can be sort of like that, but it's mostly all this like different subtle information. So what I was kind of, I was seeing almost like these old-timey words scroll past saying like, what I have to say is very important. When I bark, you need to listen. And he didn't want to talk about the poop at first. He was like, well, since you're talking to me, this is what I want to tell you. And I got like feelings, emotions from him, and just like knowings. And then I was seeing like these words, and then I was just experiencing all sorts of different things, and I was so overwhelmed. And it wasn't until a little later that he was just like, well, really, it's just because I can. And also you need to be like more consistent with when you take me out. And I'm like, oh, okay.
That's fair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And animals, dogs, do they want a consistent time to go out, or as opposed to, I always take my dog out 3 times a day, but sometimes 4, but it can be different times. Is it important to be consistent with time, or just he wanted to go out more frequently?
Well, it depends on the animal. And what I've learned about Milo is he is a creature of schedule and habit and time. And like, it is very important for him to have consistent times. It's not important to every animal. So I really look at them all as individuals, but for him, that's what he needed.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stopped pooping on the floor when you did that. And you listened.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, and also like it was a boundary thing. Like I never like quite told him like, well, that's not cool. I was just like, oh yeah, I'd rather you not do that and wait until I go out, and I'll make sure I'd be better about the times I bring you out. And yeah, it was very interesting.
Oh, what kind of dog was he? We just have to give people a picture of the cutie.
Oh yeah, he's still around, and
good.
Yeah, he's a min pin and long-haired Chihuahua mix. We did a DNA test.
And we'll put a photo of him in the show notes if you want to send one over.
Oh yeah, totally. He's so cute. And I have another dog as well. But yeah.
We'll put your other dog in too. What's your other dog's name?
Lucy.
Lucy. We'll put Lucy in. Was it Milo? Am I right?
Yeah.
We'll put Lucy and Milo in.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was that communication with Milo was your first like animal psychic communication. Mm-hmm. When did you first communicate with someone else's animal?
Yeah, so it was actually it was after that. I told my teacher about the experience, and she kind of like told my other psychic development teacher about it. And I think they both got the feeling they were supposed to help me with this. So my other teacher called me and said, hey, I hear you might have this ability. Can you just talk to this cat for me? And gave me a little information. And I did like a kind of like a little recorded audio reading. I had nothing but a picture to go on and the name of the cat. And I saw these details. I'm like, oh, I see this cat with this man, and he has muscles, and like, oh, and now he's like on the porch with a cat, like either smoking a joint or a cigarette, and the cat's not feeling well. There's this going on, like it feels like this is going on in the body. I don't remember all the details, but I kind of left a little message, not just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm just seeing what happens. And then she called me and was like, all of that is so spot on. And yeah, so that was probably my first time connecting with someone else's.
Wow. Okay. So then now let's get to what I was asking before about deceased versus living. When did you first connect with a deceased? Was it an animal was the first deceased one that you connected with, or did you connect first to a deceased human?
Actually, I believe it was with deceased humans, because what happened was my teacher was like, well, I think while you're looking for a mentor or learning animal communication on your own, I think mediumship is the closest thing to it. And I'm teaching a class. Why don't you take it? And so I took her mediumship class, human mediumship. We stuck to humans. But I believe during it, like some people's animals came through. And then I just couldn't help it. Like it just happened. So I think the first was human, and then it was animals as well. So
what was it like? Sorry?
Oh, I don't recall like the first, to be honest, like that first animal who wasn't my own that I connected with. I don't really recall in spirit, like who was the first one.
Okay. So then I guess now we can get to that question that I asked way too early. What is the difference for you between communicating with animals who are past and animals who are living, psychic versus mediumship?
Yeah, so that is a good question. Like when it comes to the experience of it, there isn't like too much of a difference for me. The connection feels very similar in like the way the communication comes through. I do often experience their energy in like a little bit of a different way. Often animals who are already passed feel very like free and expansive in a way that living animals don't, because living animals are in a body. Even if you're talking to them and communicating with them on like a spiritual level and they're living, you still have the kind of that like constraint of the body that's there or that they're very aware of. And they might talk a lot more about physical issues and things like that. Whereas like an animal in spirit, they don't really go there with the physical stuff unless you're asking if the people want to know things like around their death and how they were feeling and all that. They usually just feel like expansive and free. And sometimes, just like with humans, like their perspective can be a little bit more expansive as well. They're not like all knowing necessarily, but they will know or see things that maybe an animal who is living may not see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. I mean, it sounds similar to what mediums say
Yeah,
about humans, so which is
exactly. Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
Um, and can you communicate with all species equally? Is there a certain species you're all equally? Reptiles, animals?
Yeah, I would say, well, so I can't really say for sure if I can talk to all of them equally because I haven't connected with every single species yet. I don't think
Fair,
I
fair.
will, you know what I mean? Um, I'd say I work the most with cats, dogs, horses. Those are like the three I work with most often. But I've also worked with rabbits,
Oh,
birds
wow.
of different sorts, parakeets, even chickens,
Oh my
um,
God.
guinea pigs, hamsters, rats, snakes, lizards of different kinds. I did have, I think, two hedgehog clients and also
Oh,
pigs as clients. So
oh,
those, yeah,
I have
yeah,
such a love of pigs and just like such a heartbreak about how mistreated, like factory farmed. It's like something that keeps me up at night when I think about factory farmed like pigs and cows. It's really, yeah, it just, I can barely think about it. Although I think it's important to think about it. So
yeah,
I am just taking 1 second to give a little plug. If you do eat meat, I mean, I do eat meat for health reasons. I know it's a little more expensive, so I'm not judging if you're not able to do this. We all have different stages of our careers at different points in life, but if you can find like ethical farms, and or not telling you to be vegetarian, not giving anyone diet advice, but there are ways to eat meat that's not cruel. So I just had to give that little plug. So, or less cruel, I mean.
yeah,
Um,
totally. That makes,
yeah. So, first of all, are all these pets of people? Is it always a person contacts you to read them? Are you ever like walking down the street and a bird flying above you will start to communicate with you?
oh, that's a really good question. So, kind of like the ones that I just named, I kind of listed out like my clients, or yes, it's usually through a person. But I have definitely communicated with animals in the wild animals. I have like so many pigeons that live outside our window. I live in New York City and Queens, and like I swear the longer we live here, the more pigeons come over to where we are. And I talk to them all the time. I tell them like, "Hey neighbor, you're our neighbors." And like sometimes I'm like, "Okay, you're fighting right now right near a window, can you chill?" Or a lot of times I'm just telling them we don't want to hurt you if we open our window. It's just we need to air some things out in the kitchen. And I do talk to, like, I've talked to a whale when we went whale watching. And then in my friends, like, whale and dolphin group, we talked to whales. Um, I've
So,
talked to elephants, squirrels, foxes. Yeah, in the wild.
what type of information have you gotten, say, from a whale, a wild fox, pigeons? Can you share a little bit about like the what types of information or what understanding? I want to ask specific questions, but I don't even know what specific questions to ask.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in a lot of cases, I am just I'd say in general, I try not to lead the conversation. I let the animals kind of lead and just like I'm open to whatever they want to share. Once in a while, I will ask things. Like the whales often are talking about, it's really cool. They've like given me their experience of kind of what it's like to go down deep and then come back up for breath and like kind of like this whole experience. When I was on like a whale watching like boat thing, I knew there was a whale there and I was like, hi, we really just want to admire and appreciate you. Can you come up? And then I don't want to take full credit for it, but like right after that, a whale breached and like came up and I was like, oh, thank you. And they're like, they're like, yeah, keep your distance, respect us, that sort of thing. I'm trying to think, like the pigeons just like they want to live their lives. Like they're just like, we've got stuff to do. They're often like busy. They're like, we're trying to like hide these eggs over here, or we're looking for food right now, or like I'm looking for my mate. Like I just feel like I kind of get a peek into their busy lives. Sometimes it's more profound than that. Like I know we talked in one of my friend and other animal communicator, Kristen Hauser, one of her groups I was in, we talked to a whale who was in captivity. And that was so interesting and profound and deep. I can't remember like everything, but I remember there was something about like a pendulum swinging. I don't know if this even makes any sense, but it was really profound. And I remember when I worked with another woman who we connected with a group of elephants, and they were talking about how they can feel the vibrations of the earth. And that is part of how they move and how they know where to move to. And it was just really interesting. So there's a wide range of experiences, and some animals are just like, what do you want? Leave me alone. Mind your own business. Like that sort of thing. Like wild animals don't have as much, oh, I hear doggy. Wild animals don't have as much, always like interest in talking to humans, I would say, as domesticated animals.
Yeah, I want to ask you more about the difference between those two. But I also want to ask how the whale that was in captivity, was it having a hard time being in captivity? Was it unhappy?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the feeling of an animal that's a pet. It was having a hard time.
No, it was having a really hard time.
It's important.
I should say she, not, yeah, it was a female whale. She was having a very hard time. She talked about like being contained and what it was like to be contained, and kind of the pendulum swinging of like the going back and forth is kind of like she was so contained. That's what it felt like. There was like a beauty though of her, somehow her like will to keep going and keep living despite those conditions. Yeah, but it was hard.
Was she alone? Did she have other whales?
She was alone.
She was alone.
Yeah.
Jesus, humans are. Oof. Mm-hmm. Do our pets ever feel contained, or are they overall happy living in the domesticated situation?
That's a good question. I would say every animal and every situation is different. I definitely have talked to some some cats who just like really, really need to go outside, even though it's not necessarily good or safe for them. Actually, one of my sister's cats is like that. He was so depressed when he couldn't go outside, and she had me talk to him, and he was like, please, like I'd rather risk being hurt and dying than just staying inside all day. So in that situation, like, yeah, he felt contained. He is thriving going outside. He does have terrible allergies, but he deals with it. He's like, I'd rather have that. And then I do like see some dogs sometimes maybe they don't get enough exercise or things like that. They don't get out enough, but they're really good. They'll tell their people about it. And, and that's why we're having a conversation, so they can know these things. I try not to judge,
And how are you getting this information from both the wild and the pets? Is it the same way you got it with your dog when you saw the words, or was that just your first time?
That was really, honestly, yeah, that was my first time. I would say that the way that I receive communication really changes all the time. It can change per conversation, per animal. And I noticed that like as I grow, as I evolve, it evolves. It has almost become a little bit more feeling like I am them, or like really truly like blending consciousness and just being like, I am this dog right now or whatever. And almost like taking on the personality sometimes. And I can't even tell you like exactly how everything is coming to me when that happens. And then there's other times where I'm like seeing images in my mind's eye. I may feel emotions. I do feel, not everybody receives it this way, but I do often feel physical sensations, at least faintly, of what's going on with them physically. I do like just like suddenly like know things, or I do receive like words and phrases as well, but that usually comes in just like not like I'm actually seeing them, but it's just like pops into my head like a thought might, but I know that it's not mine. So it's really a combination of all these ways, and that to be I think it's important to say that there are other ways it might come in for other people. I don't think any of us should just like say, oh, it only happens this way or that way. But for me, it's always evolving.
Now, you mentioned a little bit like wild animals versus pets. That one difference is, I guess, sometimes you feel like wild animals don't want to talk as much. Or are there any other consistent differences that you could generalize of wild versus pets?
Yeah, I mean, like I would say companion animals or pets, they are definitely more involved in the human experience, or more like almost like tied. Their energies, they're like, we're often like learning these lessons together and going through very similar things together. And I would say that you can't really say that necessarily always for individual animals, maybe for some species, or like or wild animals in a certain area, maybe going through similar things as the people. But when it comes to like more soul lessons, or emotional things that are going on, I would say that's the companion animals are just like way more tuned into that, which makes sense because we're living in much closer relationship with them.
Right. And now you also talked about how you'd gotten some psychic and mediumship information from humans. How does it differ in general, animals versus humans?
Yeah, I would say also like this may differ for different people too. For me, animal communication comes in much more like clearly, or it's like much more straightforward. I feel like with people, for me at least, it's like almost like digging through all these layers of stuff to like get to the core of the message sometimes. I'd say that's more like with psychic stuff. And then with like human mediumship, it just feels a little more elusive to me. That's all I could say. But I talk to medium friends who do like human mediumship for a living, and they'll say the same thing about animal communication. So it could be just like, for me, it's because for whatever reason I'm more attuned to animal communication. But they don't generally tend to lie, or like they're like straightforward. They're not like trying to hide all this stuff. I feel like humans are trying to hide away certain parts of things. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we try to, I think we have a lot more like trying to appear how we feel we should. And yeah, I don't feel animals obviously do that. They might sort of, I mean, I will notice sort of try to do things to get treats or extra attention, but it's not like, it's so cute, first of all, when they do those little things. But
oh yeah, like my dog Milo will sometimes like shake like, oh, like because he wants me to be like, oh Milo, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pickles will just randomly do his tricks when he wants a treat, and Peanut would my dog before Pickles would like maniacally go through every trick she knew, like backwards and forwards, trying to get treats, like just, oh, I hear your cuties. I'm not sure if that's Milo or Lucy or both.
It's Milo, yeah.
Perfect. I mean, seems perfect to have barking. We got it from both our dogs on this.
I love it.
What would you say is like the most evidential, verified experience you've had with one of your readings? It could be psychic or mediumship, but...
Yeah, so I was thinking about that. I've had like so many. I have evidential readings all the time. I do think my partner's coming home, so let me just shut the door. I'm going to shut the door. So you will hear some barking still, I'm sure, but at least I have the door shut between. My partner is near and they start barking beforehand. So
that's so cute.
Yeah. But yeah, so when it comes to evidential readings, I was thinking about this, like a few examples, and I wanted to make sure I got permission for like one that was more detailed. So the one I got permission for, it actually happened kind of early on in my professional animal communication career. I was connecting with an animal in spirit, a cat named Tinkerbelle, very, very special cat. And it was really funny because I didn't know this until after, but the person like used a different name, a different email, something that you would do, Liz.
I was about to say that sounds exactly like me. Yep, even for my animals.
Yeah, totally. And like I know from listening to the podcast that like that's something you've done or do, and like totally valid. I get it. But yeah, so she was like definitely skeptical, and I feel like she was asking her cat to come through with some pretty good stuff. And so yeah, like the cat kept sending me all of these different types of circus tents. And I was like afraid to say it because I was like, what? I don't understand why circus tents. So I just told her, and she was showing like all these different types. And the person was like, I have a circus tent tattoo. I am a photographer and I have a set that's circus tents that Tinkerbelle, I have pictures of her in front of them. When we went to her like cancer appointments or her oncology appointments, we passed by these circus tents like every day. And I was like,
the cat's oncology appointments.
The cat's oncology appointments.
Yeah. I lost one of my cats to cancer. Yeah, that's hard. We were gonna do all of that, but that's but then it just was too advanced. But wow. But that's amazing though. I mean, I need to that's really cool. So
yeah, and that was just like, I feel like there was many other pieces of evidence that came through after that, but that one really stood out to me because I was like, it was like really apparent she wanted me to say different types of circus tents and different like types of experiences with it, and she had all these examples, and I was like, oh my gosh,
circus tents. That's amazing.
And it's something I would never think of. They're never on my mind. I don't know. That's not really in my world.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I have another like couple of things.
Can I ask you quickly though, was that cat living or had it passed?
That cat was in spirit. The cat had passed.
That cat had passed from Okay.
Yeah, this was a mediumship session.
Okay. And you said you have others that you wanted to share.
Yeah, just like more quick ones. Like there was one, it was also a cat who had passed. It was in spirit, and she was telling me, I am sending another cat to your yard, to the person. I was like, are you thinking about getting another cat? I feel like you're not. And she's like, no, not really. It's kind of early. And I'm like, well, I have to say it. She keeps talking about bringing a cat to your yard. And she was like, oh, interesting. Well, we'll see if it happens. And then
I want to learn how I went from being a skeptical atheist who thought there was zero chance of an afterlife to a skeptical atheist who thinks an afterlife is highly probable. Come check out my books. WTF just happened.
I think it was within a week, a mountain lion came to her yard. And it wasn't just that the mountain lion was walking through. The mountain lion, like, looked her in the eyes, was grooming itself like a cat, like a domestic cat, was chilling. And like, they had a few days of interaction. And I think at the end of the day, she helped the mountain lion, but I was like, what? And the cat that had passed was very much, she kind of pictured herself as like a bigger cat or like a leopard, even though she was a domestic cat. Yeah. And I thought that was like so evidential. Like she kept saying, I'm bringing a cat to your yard. And it was a cat. It just was not the cat we were thinking. Yeah.
Well, that's both of those stories are really amazing. I mean, especially, both of them, that's so cool. But that actually, both of them lead me to two questions. First of all, the second one, are animals who have, once they've passed, I know there can be some guilt about this. How do they feel about you getting new animals?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. And people ask that all the time. Again, I hesitate to say, like, to speak for all animals because everyone is different. But usually in my experience, they're not, they're okay with it. Like, they're totally okay with it. I definitely have had animals, though, be like, well, this is funny, huh? Because if I was alive, I would not be okay with this. Or like, could never get another cat or dog or whatever when I was alive. And I know that you think that, like, I won't be happy, but like, it's okay because I am past. So they're never, in my experience, upset about it. They may joke around about it, but they're never upset about it. And they also like reiterate that they know that the animal is not replacing them because they know they have this like special connection with their person, that they're like a unique relationship and they're a unique soul.
Oh, wow.
And they often just want their person to be happy and comforted. And often they'll like help their person find another animal or lead them some way.
Do you have a story about that? I mean, aside from the big cat, because I think probably that was not going to be an animal who was a pet.
Yeah. Yeah, I have, I mean, oh gosh, now they're all blending together, but I have like multiple people who have been like looking for new animals, and they'll ask in a session, will you help me, to their cat or dog or whatever. And they say yes. And then like just a series of events will happen that lead them to the animal that seems perfect for them. And sometimes it's like something weird and like a picture will appear on their browser and they're like, how did this even get here? How did this even happen? Sometimes it will be like a random person they know will reach out to them and be like, oh, I have all these cats. And I have had them tell me like specifically, like, this is the color of the cat. This is the general vicinity and not name, but this is the general vicinity and everything. And this is the timing of it. And it's happened. That is not super usual, but it happens. Yeah.
Oh. That's encouraging. Cause I mean, I've had quite a few animals. I absolutely adore each one equally, but there's moments of, is this animal unhappy that this one's here? They probably would have hated each other if they were together in life. And that's actually something then. So I didn't send you this question, but just hit me. Are we with all our animals when we pass? And are they all with each other?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I can't say for sure, but it really feels that way. It really seems that way. I don't know if they're always all with each other. Often they are. It's very interesting. It will be animals that I'm like, maybe they weren't even friends or didn't even know each other, but like there is a thread of connection through you. So I will see them come through together or feel them come through together. I don't know if that's always the case. I do believe that we are with them when we pass. I do believe that our loved ones are often, they can like have contact with them, our loved ones on the other side as well. Sometimes we'll be like with the animals. Yeah, and we're always like, I believe that the connection that we have with them doesn't go away. Just like the connection we have with humans, we're always connected in some way. And it's hard to say with, because I don't know, like that feels so almost like physical and tangible for kind of a dimension or a place that's not a place. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dimensions we don't fully understand yet.
Yeah, I can't give a definitive answer for any of that stuff. It's just really what kind of comes through or what I feel or like tend to believe, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. No. What about like, do animals have their own mediumship and psychic abilities? Are they able to see other, loved ones who've passed, they're humans, or there are other animals in their lives who've passed?
Definitely. Yeah, I can say very much so. They tell me about it all the time, and they'll even give examples of like this time when I was looking over here and doing this. This is because I was seeing this animal or this person or whatever. And yeah, I do feel from them that they're so connected with the spirit world in so many ways. Cats, especially on this other level, it seems. It's really
More than
interesting.
dogs.
Yeah, but I also think like it goes on the individual level. But yeah, I would say cats like tend to almost like they'll just also I think see random spirits too. Like it's really interesting. Yeah.
It's actually to have a story like that I'll just share quickly. I had my dog Peanut, my cat Simba. Simba was orange, Peanut was like beige, but they exact same size. They looked similar from the corner of the eye. Very similar colors, and we called them the twins, and they absolutely were obsessed with each other. They never wanted to be apart. Just two of the sweetest animals you've ever met. I was so close with both of them, and they just obsessed with each other. And Simba went first, and I know Peanut had a hard time with that. And when both of them were living, if I saw one run by, I couldn't tell which one it was unless I looked closely, like out the corner of my eye or just running past. You'd have to like look twice to see which one it was. And I'm sitting on my bed, and Simba had passed the cat, and Peanut was still living. And I saw Peanut like run around the corner. And, just out of the corner of my eye, not thinking anything of it. So I just look up, but Peanut had not run around the corner. She was sitting on my bed, and she was looking the direction I just thought she had run. Her whole body, like excited, ears up, and she went darting in that direction. And I was like, was that Simba? Did she just chase Simba? And I hope she did,
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say that that is a very strong possibility. I hear stories like that quite a lot, and that's so cool. Yeah. I also see something like a phenomenon that happens is like the cat that is, or the dog or animal who is still living, one of their siblings or like another animal in the household dies, and then the living animal might take on almost like aspects of the spirit animal's personality or start doing things that they do. And often when I try to feel into that and understand it, communicate with animals about it, it's not like one animal is taking over the other, but sometimes they do influence them and they're like, here, please do this thing that I used to do as a more tangible way to show them that I am here, So often I'll do that.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
Like regarding grief, first of all, are there animals grieve, I assume, and they grieve each other, yeah, or they grieve their human, whoever.
Yeah.
an animal with grief? First of all, do they understand death? Do they think like if their human parent dies or another human family member or another animal in their family, do they think they were just abandoned or do they understand death?
Yeah, I feel that they do understand it. I do feel just like with like humans and or kids, you may have to explain it to them sometimes. Like it depends on the situation. I've seen all different things, like the animal knows what happened, or sometimes they are a little confused, and that's where animal communication can really help. Or just
Okay.
like talking to them out loud. Um,
In your language, like in human language.
Yeah, yeah. Just like I would
Okay.
say, they may not understand everything, but they understand the energy behind it, and it often really does help them understand.
Mhm.
Yeah, the way to help them with grief is really to let them go through it. I do think communicating about what happened is really helpful. I do feel that if another animal dies, it is really helpful that for them to kind of like witness the body, smell it, be
Yeah.
there if possible. And then
Yeah.
just like a person, letting them go through it, like just acknowledging it. Often they're just
Mhm.
like they just need to go through it and have their person like just be present with them. And often they're grieving together and just saying like, "Yep, we're grieving together," acknowledging it. Yeah.
Yeah. And um and what about any tips for us on grieving our own animals?
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, it's so sad that I think this is changing a little, but in general, I'd say a lot of people don't understand like grieving our animal companions, especially if they haven't been through it. I think it's
Yep.
kind of
I mean,
disenfranchised grief. Yeah.
our society's bad enough at human grief, let alone animal. I mean, yeah, we're terrible at grief. Terrible.
Yeah. So, I would say it's like find at least a couple people that understand that you can talk to. And sometimes that's a professional, sometimes it's an animal communicator, sometimes it's a friend. And there are support groups out there for that. But I feel like it's really important to be able to have like someone at least you could talk to about it who gets it. Um,
Yeah.
And then there is no right way to grieve. There is no right way at all. I have people ask questions of like, is it okay if I get rid of all of my animal stuff? Or like, I can't bear to get rid of all this stuff. Both are right if both are okay. The animals are okay, kind of like how, with whatever you're doing, the animals who have died. So like, um, it's like really you got to do whatever you need to do to get through it. Um,
Yeah. Thank
there's no,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed when my animal grief, the ones who've gotten me through that, really the only ones who could were my other animals, because usually we were grieving that animal together. And, it always took me some time to adopt another animal, but it was, yeah, that's what animals have been the ones more than humans that have helped me with animal grief, and then,
Oh, that's beautiful. And that's a really good
yeah,
point because, like, yeah, we don't always need a human to talk to about it because the animals are just really there with you. And, like, the type of grief support I often tend to give, in a session is just called grief companioning. And all that's exactly how animals help you with your grief. They just companion you through it. They just sit there and like
mhm.
don't try to fix anything. They witness, they are in it with you, and they love you regardless. And it's beautiful.
And so, I asked you what was some of the most evidential animal readings you've had. What would you say is maybe the most moving readings you've
Oh,
had or
yeah.
experienced?
Yeah, so I thought about this too, and I wanted to get permission from, the people. So I did. I have so many moving stories, I think, but this is a more recent one that came to mind, and it's with a very special dog named Enzo, and he was named after Enzo Ferrari, the guy who like created the Ferrari race car or whatever.
Oh,
Such like a
so
little,
cute.
yeah, he's such like a little race car spirit. And the song that played, like that.
Wait, what kind and what color, just so people can picture the dog.
Oh yeah, and I wonder if we could include a picture too. So he's
Yeah.
a little white, like scruffy dog. I forget exactly what kind, but he's small. But his energy is so big, and it is like a race car, and he's like,
Oh,
like,
I love it.
yeah. But he was pretty awesome. He really stood out to me. Yeah, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen is the song that came up. Like he started like kind of singing to me, and they're like, that is perfect for him. But what was so touching about it is, so the people came to me this past spring. Enzo had been diagnosed with congestive heart failure and a collapsing trachea, I believe, among other things. And those are some pretty serious diagnoses, and they're kind of things that don't really get better. And of course, understandably, the people were really upset and really distraught about it. And they kind of came to me saying, like, this is the end. We're kind of already grieving him. We're having anticipatory grief. But they also wanted to connect with him, know what his feelings were, what he needed, how he was, and all that. And basically, he said, you can be sad, and yeah, it stinks that I'm sick, but I'm not dead yet. And I would like to have some fun together before I die. Like, I would really like if you guys could lighten it up sometimes. You play music. How about you play me some music? Can we go outside? Can we have fun experiences? Can we eat ice cream? Can we do all that? He loved food. They're like, we're never going to know. He's never going to stop eating. That won't be a sign. How do we know when it's time, right? And he's like, yeah, I'll, probably slow down, or my bad days will outweigh the good ones, things like that. But he's like, yeah, well, we'll get there. But right now, like, you can be sad. It's not about ignoring anything. And yes, I don't feel good all the time, but I recover after my little bouts, and then I want to have fun. I want to do things. So, I would never, like, these are things like I would never say to people. That's how I also knew it was him, because I would never be like, get over it, lighten up, and that's basically kind of what he was saying. But not, I was very much sure to also say, like, this is me talking, like, also you can be sad too.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So then they have the best summer ever together. And we had a session like a little while, like recently, where they said, we would have never had this experience with him. Like, it was, if we didn't know this is what he wanted, if he didn't kind of like snap us out of it, like, we've had so much fun together this summer. And now we feel like he's, we do feel like he's reaching the end. And I feel like before that session, he came to me and said he was getting ready, and I was like, okay. And then so we had the session where we talked about it, and he said, like, I feel so fulfilled, and if the last thing I did was help you understand that you can be sad and happy at the same time, you can hold like grief and joy at the same time, and you can keep living your life, even if you're sad and all this stuff, then I did my job. That was like part of my like purpose in your life. And then he's like, also, I want ice cream and this and that, like all the food, and then he made it to his 15th anniversary of his gotcha day, that they felt like he was trying to make it to that. He like, they scheduled a euthanasia appointment, and he knew, and he was not doing good before that, but it gave him energy enough to like run around, like do laps around their backyard in the rain, like one more time before he died. And it was just all so beautiful. And Yeah, that I don't know. It was just really special. I felt, yeah.
That's a pretty amazing story. And it actually raised a question. And a little bit also, I wondered this when you mentioned the circus tent about the cat seeing it on the way to, was it her chemo treatments? His, her,
Sure. Yeah.
her. Are animals aware of their own mortality and that they'll die one day?
Yeah, they are. And it's like, it's very interesting because I think it's like we can talk to them on different levels about it. Just like with people, like there's this wise soul level that's like not afraid, you know. And then there is this very, sometimes this like instinct, keep alive instinct that we all have, right? So we feel kind of a mixture of these things. But yes, in my experience, most of them seem to be aware of it. It's kind of amazing how many animals say, like, I'm not afraid, in instances where I think they would be. And that's not to say that, like, none of them would ever be afraid. But yeah, and a lot of times I feel like animals are almost teaching us about death and showing us how to die in many instances.
Oh, wow. That was definitely like the really moving to think about. Um,
Yeah.
are there any ways we can like better communicate with our animals and provide better understanding their needs while they're living?
Um, Yes. And oh, actually I just like wanted to say I remembered
Oh yeah.
one part of the Enzo story that I feel like is important to mention when we talk about signs from our animals too.
Yeah, yeah.
That I like so I emailed them earlier to ask permission to share the story and they said yes. And I have to share that I was like feeling I need to email them now. I almost felt like Enzo was pushing me to do it. And I was like, I'm going to email them right now. And then they wrote back to say, like, yes, you can share the story. But also, I had just asked Enzo to send me a sign because I was feeling so sad. Like, send me a little sign to make me happy. And then the email came right through. She's,
Oh my
and,
god.
yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. There's
Yeah.
so much weird stuff.
Yeah, so it's like all interconnected. Like somehow I was part of giving them a sign to their animal and spirit. But sorry, I just had to.
No, I love that. And maybe Enzo was reaching out to tell me to ask this question. You know, like there's all those theories that we're always communicating with the other side and we don't even know it. Enzo's like, well, I'm writing the questions to you. Like, ask this. And then Enzo to you was like, tell this, tell this. I mean, we don't know. It's one of the theories. We don't really understand enough yet how this all works. But oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, but your question was more about like how we better communicate with our living animals.
That was I'm going to ask both, but let's start with how can we better? Some of the mistakes people make with our animals that we don't know? What's muted? It's hard to always know if how can we better communicate? What are some mistakes we might be making that people kind of consistently make with their animals? What ways can we just be better parents to these creatures like our kid? Basically, they're our children that we adore and they can't speak to us. So,
oh, yeah, I would say like first of all, like I think people assume that that animals don't like understand much when we're talking. Like just actually talking aloud. And I found that to be actually really untrue. They may not understand every single word we say, but they understand often the energy behind it. So keeping that in mind, just like as we're talking about them is one, we're talking near them. And also, when we just want to communicate with them, like just starting with talking, like actually just talking out loud is a totally reasonable thing to do. You're not silly if you talk out loud to your animals. They understand way more than you give them credit for. And like I said, they'll understand the energy, even if they don't understand every word. But as you talk more, they start to understand more, is something I've noticed. So that's one thing, like understand that. And then like if you want to have better communication with them, like at those times where you feel that they might be trying to tell you something, like just pause for a minute and open your heart. Like you could even just kind of like imagine like your heart opening up to them and say like, okay, what is it that you want, and see what comes up. It may not always feel like you're getting communication, but communication is not just, like I said, like a Disney movie. It may be a faint emotion, a faint image in your mind's eye. It might be like, just like, oh, I know this, or this seems like a thought, my thought, you know? And I just say, be open to that. Yeah. And like, I think having an open heart, and like really thinking about your heart opening when you want to communicate with them is so important. Like to me, that is like one of the most important elements of animal communication, being open-hearted. Yeah. And then I feel like practice wise, like if you want to try to communicate with them and stuff too, I would start by just like kind of letting them lead the conversation and see, like I said, open your heart, see what comes up. I would say like don't try to dive into anything like too serious right away. Try to keep it more light and chill. Maybe give them a compliment first, or like tell a joke. I don't know.
Right.
Or like, you know, just if you also think about it, when we talk about mistakes too, like many of us, including me, might want to be like, I want to talk to them so I could tell them not to do something, or like ask them.
Right.
Like, what if someone just like came up to us and like the first time you actually got to communicate, they were trying to tell you what to do? No, you're not going to get very
not
far.
Gonna enjoy that. No.
So that's something to keep in mind as well.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I'm just looking over at my cute little guy. I feel like, well, a few more questions, and maybe we can even end this with us both showing our little cuties on the screen. So,
sure, yeah.
Yeah. And what about keeping a relationship going with our animals who've passed? Like signs, communication. I mean, obviously there's mediumship, but you know, mediums will say we can talk to our loved ones ourselves. What ways can we look for signs, make signs with our animals? Any tips at all?
Yeah, so I feel like just asking them for signs is a good idea. Just asking, just like my example of my client earlier. She's like, can you please give me a sign? And like, look what happened. So just, I think people forget to ask, including me, like, can you bring through a sign? That's one thing. I think often it can help to have a little altar to them, or a little space. It doesn't have to be like quite an altar, but like even like a little shelf dedicated to them with their picture, with something, a place where you go and like almost like say hi to them. Maybe their ashes are there. And kind of, I think rituals can also really help. It helps with our grief, but also helps with that connection, like a ritual that you kind of do every day. Some people might write to their animals every day, a little note to them. Some people might like have a little bowl, their food bowls, and put a little food in there, a little water still every day. That's a way to stay connected. And I just say, be open. You can ask for specific signs for sure, but like also be open to the ways they might come to you. So like if you say, I want to see a fox, like you might see a fox picture or something, and not like an actual fox, or, you know, things like that. Yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. Yeah. It's funny. Darren, if you're listening, I know you once did have a fox as one of your signs for your dogs. So that's so funny you said that. So we've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's like an early episode. So I can tell by your face, for anyone listening, Olivia had no idea. She looks really surprised. And Darren is host of another podcast similar to mine called Seeking Eye, and we kind of collaborate a lot early on. So Darren, if you're listening to this, I hope you heard that.
Amazing.
So yeah. Now, I know you also do Reiki on animals. What first of all, how does that differ? Maybe explain. I think most of our listeners will know what Reiki is, but especially some new ones might not. What is Reiki, and what is it like to do on an animal?
Yeah, so Reiki is like an energy work practice that originated in Japan. You could think about it as like channeling energy, or like cultivating and channeling energy to kind of like help shift our sorry, I'm like stumbling over.
Yeah, no worries.
Like to help shift the energy. Like it could bring about changes, the changes needed, or kind of creating the energy needed for changes to occur like in ourselves naturally. And that can be like emotionally, spiritually, physically. And you can do it by laying your hands on a person or an animal, but you can also do it remotely, which is how I usually practice it. A lot of animals don't like a stranger coming up to them and like putting their hands on them. Even when I was doing it in person, like at shelters and stuff, I would not put my hands on the animal. I would just kind of like hold my hands, and if like on my lap, and if the animal wanted me to touch them, they would come over and let me know. But yeah, so I'm practicing Reiki with animals, channeling energy to them. The way that the difference between animal communication and Reiki, a lot of people ask that. So animal communication is like the conversation that you have with an animal to find out what they need, or how you can help them. And then Reiki is just one of the ways you can fulfill their needs. So if they're having anxiety, if they're having pain, if they're having trouble of any sort, then we start with communication, and then we can move to Reiki later in the session or in another session. And it's pretty cool to practice it with animals versus humans, because I find that animals need a much like shorter or littler amount of it to really be effective. And like I've seen, I don't want to make like medical claims here, but I've seen, for instance, like one of my cat clients who has congestive heart failure, which generally does not get better. We started doing Reiki. He went for his next scan, and somehow the fluid shrunk. Like somehow it got better. It didn't totally heal, but it improved. And we were like, the only thing they did different was Reiki. So I've seen it do wonders. I've seen it help like animals who are anxious really be a lot more chill, calm, like that.
I have to vouch. With all my animals, as they've gotten older and had health issues, I've done Reiki, holistic acupuncture. I mean, I'm a big believer in like Western science medicine, so I do all that, but I've supplemented it with energy healings, Reiki, acupuncture, and I've noticed big differences. And even our vets have backed up that there's been, extended life. Not every time, like my cat Boots, who I mentioned, who passed from cancer, we just got it too late. But my other animals, for the most part, I was able to extend their lives once, quite significantly beyond what was expected.
That's amazing. Yeah, I feel like it's a really great complement to Western medicine. Like it doesn't like interfere with it. It could go right along with it for sure. And there is a lot more research coming out showing how it's effective. Another thing that like I didn't mention is also like I have done Reiki for animals as they made their end of life transition.
No way.
And
what was that like?
Yeah, so I've done it mostly remotely. And I'm connected with them. We stay connected, and I'm offering them the energy. The whole thing is like bringing peace and ease to them. Humans often ask for it too. So I'm kind of imagining like a bubble around the whole family. People say it often helps the whole situation just feel more peaceful. But then from my end, being connected with an animal while they're transitioning is like something I never It's really hard to put into words, and I never have experienced before, but you feel the feeling of freedom, I will say. It's been a
Wow.
beautiful feeling, and I often see images that are really beautiful of like almost like their energy and what it's like almost like leaving their body, and it's often like all sparkles and bright colors and like almost like fireworks, but a lot better than that. I've tried to actually make some paintings and drawings of this, and it's really hard. But yeah, it's been beautiful. But anyway, just putting that out there. Just a little light thing to end on.
I think that is the perfect ending, unless, well, first of all, unless there's something I haven't asked you that you'd like me to ask you, aside from, is there anything else I haven't asked you yet?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Let's end. Do you want to end then before where people can find you? Do you want to end on introducing our animals to the listeners?
Sure. I need to go open the door back up again. Is that okay?
I'm going to edit this waiting part out. So go ahead. Pickles, come here. Pickles, come here. Come here, Pickles. Pickles, come here.
Oh no, they're eating right now.
Oh no, you can't get them. Oh no. Well, send photos, or if you want to send me a little reel, I'll edit it in.
I feel like Milo might be done in a second. Hold on.
Okay, sure.
Okay, no, Milo is
asleep.
His time right now to be eating.
Oh wait,
I want to see Pickles.
Oh, okay, so we'll do Pickles. Oh my god. Okay, so I will have Olivia send in little video clip or photos of her dogs. This is Pickles. He is a Pekingese pug, Japanese chin. We thought he was a pug chihuahua, but he's not. He is my baby boy and beyond sweet. He has... Here, get him past the microphone. Come on, Pickles. There's Pickles. Oh, isn't he cute? He is so cute. He's like, Mom, what are you doing? Hi. Hi. He's my baby. I love him so much. He has a brother, his cat Kiwi, or my cat Kiwi. I just got back from the IONS conference, and my animals stay at my parents' place, which, yes, I still call my parents, with my mom. So I was able to take Pickles back today, but I have to get my cat Kiwi. So I'm going to edit in a little video of Kiwi so Kiwi's not left out. But yeah, I mean, both of them are so equally close with my mom too. So you'll get a little video of Kiwi too. So now you got to meet Pickles. Yeah, and if you want to send me little videos of both are dogs, right? 2 dogs.
Yeah, both dogs. Milo and Lucy are both dogs. Yeah, and they're both chowing down right now. So you can't interrupt an eating dog. They will never forgive you. Yeah.
Great. And now lastly, where can our listeners find you, follow you, book services?
Yeah, the best way is my website. It's just my name, olivialabarre.com. I am on Instagram, but I'm like barely on there. So it's best to get on my newsletter list, which you can also find on my website. I also have a free animal communication guide that people can download. They can find it on my site. Yeah, and that's really the best way to keep in touch and book my services.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
To get more information on what the fuck just happened, go to WTFJustHappened.net. There, you can order my book, WTF Just Happened, A Sciencey Skeptic Explores Grief, Healing, and Evidence of an Afterlife. You can learn all about how I came to conclude that there most likely is an afterlife, but you can also learn about the early stages of my grief and the amazing, fascinating people I met along the way. You can read about how much I harassed the mediums and scientists trying to get evidence to see if the mediums were cheating and see if what everyone was saying actually was true. You can also subscribe to our newsletter to stay updated on any new developments and any interesting new what the fuck updates. So if you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. It makes such a difference, especially for a new podcast like this one. And if any of you have had a crazy what the fuck yourself, have any questions, feedback, or just want to say hey, reach out on either Instagram at WTF_just_happened_, or email me at hello@WTFjusthappened.net. I love hearing from all of you. It makes my day hearing your stories and questions and feedback and all of it. And remember, you don't have to draw any final conclusions as you wonder, what the fuck just happened?